Hello, guys. This is Alex Julian or Aloysius Anderman here. Um, I'm not sure if you have heard of this mental disorder before. I've just recently learned about it from observing my father and seeing his recent mental illness in this time. I'm not sure if you have heard of something called um, oppositional defiant disorder. Hmm. I had never heard of that kind of mental disorder when I was taking education growing up. In fact, with taking education growing up, I was not taught a lot of things because, as you know, schools only cover so much with their information for their classrooms. Eventually, you have to go on and just do reading or learning on your own. It's just how it is. Um, I was told for a lot of years growing up in childhood that I would be someone of critical importance, whether it be a teacher or an astronaut or a firefighter or a police officer or a mailman. But by the time I was leaving Sacramento State University, I had discovered too late that basically in my life, I was nothing more than an aristocrat and a clown. So that's actually really who I am. And yeah, I know my acting probably did trick you a little bit there. You really thought I was actually literally a philosopher? Well, I am, but really, I'm a clown. I'm a humorist, like Mark Twain in that sense. And I think it's because often when I see authority figures, it often becomes impossible for me to feel a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of doubt about leaders, even of Donald Trump, because I know that naturally leaders, especially politicians and businesses and such, do need to do what they do in this world of survival. I mean, there is evolution in this world. I mean, I would even see kings that we still have here on Earth, such as maybe a king from England or a king from Spain, and I would have so much, curiosity for them, so much special interest in them, so much honor and respect for them, even if I may be a spoiled American with wild temper in California. On the other hand, my dad, believe it or not, does actually have oppositional defiant disorder. He does. And I know this for a fact, even if he has not been to a doctor for years. I could tell his mental being just from having conversations with him over the years. Often, whenever the subject of leaders comes up, I treat leaders as, like people like you and me, but except with some specialty knowledge in political science. And there's definitely a lot of heart and passion and love in me for, political leaders who want to help us live better lives on this planet. Because that's often how we get food and water and shelter in this world. Because they are sort of like our manufacturing gods in that sense. But my dad is different because my dad is not a poet like me. My dad is a historian, and I especially think because of his impoverished family upbringing in childhood, and because of his um, unimpressive experience in early retail work in his early years, and because of his entry into independent business making, I think he is uncomfortable near any authority that is out there, which is interesting. Um, he's a nice guy. He's peaceful, and there's nothing really like crazy about him per se. But it does eventually come to my notice that actually he is crazy, because even when I have a conversation with him, no matter how honest I am with him about our need for governments and businesses and leaders in our communities in this world, he seems to be hesitant about tagging along exactly and with full alignment of agreement with authority figures. And it's like as if his consciousness on the subject of rulers and leaders is made of this very heavy and dense marble, where it's like no matter how many times I try to crack at the surface and have him burst out with understanding, it seems like he only slightly leaks when I give any polish to his temper. And it does get to that point that I then begin to wonder, like if there really is that understanding that he says that he has about just in general rules and policies and laws and such. He is obedient, but it's like, he's a very like hesitant and self-doubtful sort of obedient sort of citizen. And often, I mean, he does get some kind of temper here and there, because he does come from our family ancestry of German and Russian blood. And it gets hard, because it gets hard to kind of tell like how exactly left he's going and how exactly right he's going, because it's like it's like as if like he's trying to find a shoe that is literally made by nobody and that just appears in a box store somewhere. And he does have that pretentious awareness of just the general manufacturing industry in the world, especially in America. I mean, I was traveling to different states in America, and I was traveling to European countries, and I also have brothers who also do their traveling, and we do see things of the world that my dad does not see, because he gets so much deep into this oppositional defiant disorder that he may even refuse to be aware that psychology exists as a subject. And and definitely there is that kind of framework, and I think it's because he had parents who were very much farmer types of people. Just his own father almost never said really anything about his origins, where he came from. Because farmers back then were very quiet. I'm not sure if you guys know today, in case you do not know, I'm not sure if you know today how noisy you are compared to how people were living 100 or more years ago in America. My family ancestry comes from like Iowa, and farmers, in that kind of area in the United States with that early 1900s and late 1800s thing, they were often very, very quiet and would leave, in a lot of cases with normal people back then, they would leave almost nothing left for their literature because they were usually not professional writer types. And there was no television back then, and or electronics and such, and so it was like, the silence was often all there was, and it could have been anything. Who knows? Um, and definitely, I have had to talk to my local friends here in town about my dad's condition because my dad is getting old. He is becoming a very elderly gentleman in his upper years, and it gets to the point that um, I have to help him and like encourage him to get hearing aids because even his hearing is fading and he's losing a lot of natural interest and he's becoming sort of like a dusty book on a shelf. And well, I guess if I pick up that book once in a while and read it a little bit, I'll be okay. But otherwise, um, I'll treat my dad as just my father and holy respects of honor and silence. You take care. Have a good one.